he's the puppet master because that's part of what me and Emily were talking about. He's creating these, like when he was like, I am the magician, basically, I am the enchanter, like I am the man. And he
Right.
takes this stance and he moves his arms. And when he moves his arms, this black mist comes out of his hands.
Yes. Because you know
Okay.
what? Funny, when I was younger, we lived in this house and I saw black mist coming from the corner of the room and it would go along the very top of the wall.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chasity, aka the Luminary Luna Beams,
And I'm Emily, the fine art medium.
and we're two mediums that specialize in the paranormal. Our purpose is to shed light on what goes bump in the night. That's why we call this podcast
Lights at midnight.
Lamp.
Bing!
Bing. All right, guys. So today we have a case. So it is a paranormal case. It's Andrea and Kathy. Andrea is the person that we'll be reading for. Kathy is her mother. You'll hear her in the audio today. This is a pretty serious case. It's definitely very interesting. And I guess we could go ahead and say a warning, couldn't we, Emily? Just kind of,
Mm.
about this particular entity involved. Could probably say that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, just for people that may be super sensitive or open to, the other side. So, basically, we're just going to kind of go over what me and Emily picked up. This is our first initial channeling. We will be doing some more channeling later this weekend because we actually are going to be sitting down with Andrea and I believe possibly Kathy and doing a Zoom interview to get more validation, more channeling, and kind of get her on the right track. So, some of this case will be off camera, some of this case will be on camera, kind of whatever we feel comfortable with sharing because it could be pretty in depth. We're definitely going to go ahead and just kind of talk about it now, and then in the later part of the video we'll go ahead and have Andrea come in, guys. So I guess we'll go ahead and leave it off there because this could potentially be a longer video. So I guess we can do this week's experiences. Emily, what you got for us?
Most of my experiences are based off of, like the clients I've had, and I don't want to say too much about it because I don't have permission, but that's all I can really say.
Oh, I know one we can talk about.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and tell the folks your dream?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I had a weird dream. I call it an astral experience because I kind of had like mobility and control over what I was doing, and it was very vivid, and I saw colors, and I really felt the emotion in this one. So, yeah, astral realm experience for me, I know you call it a dream, but essentially, I'm in like this it kind of looks like a church, but it's got like these big doorways things. It's kind of like you walk through it, and when you walk inside, you get like this foyer thing with halls, and it's pretty much a cement building with like these massive cinder block type walls, structure thing, and then the really tall windows, like with the glass. So I wasn't sure if it was a church or just some kind of fancy building, but there was a girl laying on like this bench, and she was turning blue, like she was having some kind of reaction to something, and her skin was turning like, the best way I can describe it, kind of remind me of a rash with like the pink um hives and stuff all over her face. It almost looked like she was dying of like a plague or some kind of allergic reaction or something. And I'm trying to get help, and I carry her out of the building, and I go to like the outside area so it's easier for like EMS people to see, because I call them like, hey, I'm at this address, I need help ASAP. This person's dying. And, that kind of stuff. And I'm waiting. The girl's like dying. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And, time goes by and she's like now not breathing. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm trying to like keep her alive, but it's not working too well for me. And I see like the ambulance at the wrong location, but it was down the street, and I'm trying to flag them down like, "Hey, you're in the wrong spot." And I run down the street and I'm like, "Hey, why are you over here? Like I said, we're over here." And they're like, "Oh, we couldn't find the location." And yeah, and I was like, "Well, come this way." And by the time they get to her, she was dead. And that's when I started to feel very upset because it could have been avoided if they didn't go to the wrong location. And, because I'm so pissed off, I get in my car and then the brakes don't work. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I crash into another car. And of course, it's like we're near this gas station and like this beer distribution thing where you can walk in and get like your beers and your alcohols and stuff. And the guy's car I hit comes out of the beer store, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but my brakes not working. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And then that's where it ended.
Gotcha. So, the same night, I had a dream that I was in a building that looked kind of like a castle, something from medieval times, and it was made of all cinder block. And I was with some people. I never saw these people, but I knew that somebody needed medical assistance and that we could not get in touch with EMS. And I'm like, fine, I'm going to drive into town. And you could tell that there was something looming, like something was coming. And there was this big room, and in the room was the person that needed the help. Again, I didn't see any faces or anything. And I get in my car and I start driving towards a town that's close to me in this dream. And upon arrival, and I'm cutting it down a little bit, but upon arrival there, it's flattened. Everything's black. There's like it's like all out war. And I'm like, oh, no wonder EMS is coming. Well, if y'all picked up on it, this happened the same night. This was also the night that, or the day before, me and Emily actually agreed to do this case this week. So the night of us agreeing that we were going to do this case, we both had a dream of a very similar location. And you know what? It's so interesting. I might, you know what? I'm going to save that for a little bit later because that's going to get into my channeling. But basically, there was like F-16s and stealth fighters flying over my head, and everything was just pitch black and everything. And I was like, well, no wonder EMS isn't coming because there's death and destruction everywhere. And that's pretty much what I remember. But I do want to ask you a question. Like, when you were taking her outside, was it like there was bridge almost walkways, and then there was like a little porch almost outside of the big main room or anything? It felt like it was almost not like a porch, but it was all made of stone. It's just like walkways. I felt like I crossed over a bridge into getting to the big room that had like the half oval type doors, the archways. It had those types of archways and everything.
I don't remember, like, it's weird because it's like I had the intention of going outside, but I didn't see myself actually walking outside. I just appeared where I needed to be, if that makes sense.
Right, right. And for me, in my dream journal, I wrote this down as like a prophetic, because I felt like it was prophetic at first, and it was, but just not the way that I thought. Um, Basically, what we're trying to say is we're pretty sure this has something to do with the case. There's a lot of symbolism. Me and Emily, she said some things that happened that kind of triggered my memory, and then vice versa. And so this was a dream slash astral experience slash, in my opinion, illusion that was built by the entity. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was actual, like, we were we were there, but I don't think it was real, if that makes sense.
Mm. It didn't feel like to me from it felt more like a dream than an astral experience because it was more fuzzy than an astral experience. So that's why I personally refer to it as a dream, but upon further, evaluation, we figured it out. So, yes, it was very interesting and I have some more to add to that once we get through. But that's kind of my this week's experience too.
Mhm.
So, I guess we can go ahead and move on to getting into what we've picked up, like our initial channeling.
Mhm.
Me and Emily have briefly talked about what we've got, but we have not went into detail. So
Mhm.
most of this information is, just us doing our own thing. We
Mhm.
always like to do that to kind of put the puzzle pieces together and see what we got that's similar, what we got that's different. It paints a bigger picture.
Mhm.
And again, this is just an initial channeling. Personally, I always do try to get like the idea of the origin. I'm still working on that, but we both will be channeling throughout this if we get anything extra.
Hello, this is Kathy. Thank you for texting me back, and Andrea's excited as can be. But I wanted to tell you that this started several years ago when she went missing for a week, and no one knew where she was. And when we finally did find her, or she came home, she had no idea where she'd been. So what's been happening is she hears them speak to her. It's one male, one female. She told me to tell you of floor droppers, ceiling risers. I have no idea what that is. But she suffers memory loss. Her son, age 14, can see them. She has burning of her body. She said they told her she was an experiment. She also says it feels like they inject things into her body that hurts. They mess with her body all the time. I have heard them myself, but they have nothing to do with me. They cuss at her when they move around. They have a black mist they spray along the border of the ceiling. She has no privacy and they read her mind. They verbally abuse her. So anything that you can do to help me, I'd appreciate it. My name's Kathy. Her name is Andrea. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you 100%. One other thing, she says she cannot pray. Also, we have taken her to a priest and did everything they said to do. Nothing helped. But the next step was an exorcism, which she didn't do. She even got baptized. Nothing helped. So please let us know when this video airs, or if you'll call us personally. Thank you.
So, the first stuff that I got immediately, I'm starting to feel stuff through my body because clairsentient. But so I started feeling, right wrist throbbing pain and it's traveling up my arm, which I have many problems, but that ain't one of them. So I know it ain't me. My left foot, painful spasm. Then I get pain on right shoulder blade, which I already know what that means, and you do too. Burning pain on left leg, heaviness on right side of back, and let's see, and then from shoulder blade to lower back.
Gotcha. The only pain that I got was basically in my left breast. Honestly, it's like on the like towards the center of my chest, trying to make me feel like I was going to go into a panic attack, or maybe something was wrong with my heart, or something like that. And that got cleared up pretty quickly because I put holy oil before I started on all my chakras, and I felt the need to put it on the back of my neck as well for this one specifically.
And similar to you, I felt it in the center of my body, like in my sternum.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a panic attack because usually I equate like pain there as like the panic and anxiety. Yeah. So I then see a large tree. I keep seeing a large tree and I don't know why. And
Okay.
I saw, and this is weird because I got this in my last reading I did for Twin Paranormal, but an elephant head, but this one it's just a regular elephant head. I also got a pentagram. I got the Blair Witch symbol. Let's see. Oh, burning on left leg, knee joint pain, again, leg issues. When it's by themselves, that's not typically an issue for me. Oh, I do start seeing Andrea specifically moving involuntarily, like one of those old fashioned like puppets that they use, like the, you know what I mean? Is it
Yes.
Marinette? And she,
So yeah, I got Puppet Master. I saw the same thing, like with what
mm-hmm,
you're talking about, how you saw her moving. I actually saw this. I saw
mm-hmm,
it doing that, like puppeting and referring to the way that you saw her, the way I saw her too was like she had cracks in her like a cracked doll.
yeah. And she's
Yeah.
just like, as the dude's like, "Nee, nee, 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 nee."
Yeah. So I didn't see this, but I saw the actual the the sticks, and I saw
Yeah,
like cracks, and inside of the cracks it reminds you of like cracks in the earth. So
yeah,
cracks in the body, the symbolism of that you can take that way far. But it was almost like light was coming out,
mm-hmm,
and where this thing's kind of seeping in energetically, because I think it's a good point to say that, you guys just heard the audio clip. The She's 100% clairsentient,
mm-hmm,
100%, because all of the people in the house have some type of intuitive sense about them in one way or another. Well, Andrea is highly, highly sensitive, empathic, and clairsentient.
and clairaudient.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. I noticed too that as I was trying to pinpoint what it looked like, it kept shape shifting into these different like monsters and beasts. And it tried to go like the alien route once it finished its like beastly forms, but it looked like a cartoon kind of alien or monster. And it was giving like thought form and its appearance because of the style of its appearance, because it was very cartoony, and usually when we see something cartoony it's kind of like, is this from the person and their imagination and how they view certain things and them putting energy to those things. So
Yes. Can I add something? Or are you done with your alien part?
I'm done with my alien part.
Okay, I wrote down alien beliefs. Like, I think that either somebody they've told, or she may think that it's some type of extraterrestrial, multidimensional alien type being because of some
Mm-hmm.
of the ways that she's experiencing things. I did write that down, so I can validate that. And then you said something else that triggered. Oh, thought form. 100%. There's thought forms in the house, because I picked up on quite a few different. We'll get there, but yes,
Yeah.
there's definitely thought forms happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it's 100% due to the situation that's going on, but it has a lot to do with it. 100%.
It was making me sleepy. Um, oh, one major thing I started feeling was like I was going through a withdrawal of, like, a good example, since this is the only experience I have, but of gabapentin, it made me feel like I was going through that withdrawal again.
I picked up on potential mental illness or mental health issues, either in the past or something that involves something potentially to that.
Okay. Another thing I noticed too, my eyes were burning, like acid being thrown in my eyes, or like you just chopped up a jalapeno and then oops, just took your contacts out and now your eyes are on fire. So I was
Wow.
feeling that.
Ew.
Um oh, so when I was breathing, it felt like I was breathing straight up dust, but it kind of
Oh my
all
God. Go
what?
ahead. Go ahead.
And it kind of reminded me of like when I was a kid and had asthma and I would have to do my inhaler, and it has that weird like grainy taste to it. So I wasn't sure if it was like an inhaler or like breathing in dust, but that's what it reminded me of.
I wrote down seeing when I was doing like my vision work right
Yeah.
before, just a little bit because I didn't go super deep, seeing a desert in my visions, isolation. You're having dry eyes and you're breathing in dust. I see
Yeah.
a desert. This has given us clues of about the main entity, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I started getting ovary pain in my right side, which the one that always gives me problems is my left one. But so having my right ovary hurt is weird, and I kept seeing an image of a uterus. So I
Okay.
thought that was weird. And this is where the little drawings I did come in. But I see this lady upside down, and she's got she's got like a ghost face thing going on, and she's hanging upside down with her hair like, down. I see a mirror, like a fancy one, and then like so like in the city how you can go park in a parking lot, but in order to do that you have to get a ticket or whatever, and you have like the guy in the ticket. Well, I see that with a bar across, but here is my pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are my pictures. Next page. I do keep seeing an aerial view of woods. I start getting that chest pain, and then I also feel it at my clavicle area, which again, not a place that I ever have issues. Neck pain, pain in the center of my back and sternum. I hear triggered by you. Like this is said clairaudibly to me. I then see a dark-haired female that's pregnant. Like she's in the whole like rubbing her belly. Her belly's, like big, like given pregnancy. I hear, "Don't do this anymore." I get this weird image. It's like a triangle with a little rectangle on top and then like a butterfly. I know, I did them fast because I was halfway blindfolded.
Right.
And then I see this old hag looking skeletal woman with sparse, scraggly hair and one eye. She looks like the one lady from the Disney cartoon version of Hercules, if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
So, yes. And then I'm seeing image of lungs. I get rib pain. I see uterus and ovaries again. I hear the word haunted. There's a female face with abnormal dark circles around her eyes.
That
I
makes sense.
I hear, "I don't know what to expect anyways." I also hear, "He is what I wanted." I'm seeing a man that looks like the white people version of Jesus. I hear the word seance. I hear the phrase "in the parking lot." And there's some kind of utility truck that has like the wooden guard around the bed of the truck. And it kind of reminds me of the trucks that you see that hold like the landscaping tools. I see a blue rose, and the crown of my head, like top of my head, is hurting.
I will say, I pulled some cards too,
Mhm.
and Crown Chakra came out, which don't surprise me,
Yeah.
and Intentional
Yeah.
came out.
And then I saw this image. It's like there's the fence, and then there's like, I don't know if it's a house. It looked like a house, like a small house. But that's all I have.
All right. So when I started channeling in, I channeled in like throughout the week, and it was unintentional because it just happened. So when I was talking to Emily, I believe it was Tuesday morning, about the dream, like while we were talking, this thing came in, okay, and started talking to me, legitimately talking to me. It wasn't like I heard the voice outside of my ear talking to me, it was in my head. And I've done enough cases now to know, there is a certain beings or entities that can do this, but we're not jumping to any conclusions, right? Um, the first thing, so taking back to the dream, we were talking about that, and then it came to me. It was like death, war, destruction, illness, decay, disease, and then it laughed.
Mhm.
It's like switching through all like the principalities in a way.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, one thing I forgot to say is I kept seeing it like blow itself up to make it bigger than it was.
Mm-hmm. And it literally is like a joker, jester. It can be kind of whatever it wants to be.
Mhm.
Master of illusion came out, and that I've learned that is a key. That's like a psychic symbol for me, to understand the type of entity that we're dealing with. I'll say he, but it's more of a it does have a masculine energy, it does have a feminine energy in a way, but that's because it's a shapeshifter, so it's not really a he, it's a it. um
Mhm.
it's he's bragging about he's like, I've caused wars. He's
Mhm.
like, and not just spiritual warfare, I've caused physical wars, like just like almost pride and ego and ugh.
Mhm.
So then I started thinking about like right when I was writing down, okay, the dream is what sparked, or the astral experience is what sparked that whole like the principality thing. Like it come in, he was saying this to me. And then I was thinking about when I drove into the little town that was no longer there. It was awful. I mean, I smile, but it was actually really, really bad. um I wonder if the building was made out of like brimstone or something, because then I started thinking about brimstone, but I should have looked it up. I mean, I know it's darker in color maybe than what we saw, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I thought of like fire and brimstone and stuff like that. So this thing's like really pushing, the D word.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to leave that there. Uh, I put demon or a wannabe. I
Mhm.
shouldn't. I'm not. And that's one thing that spirit told me to be very careful with, is not let my ego get in the way at all, no matter how,
Mhm.
because sometimes they're like, yeah, we got it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is, but this is one of these times we cannot do that. And we're going to have, I mean, this is what spirit told me that, I say we, but I'm going to have to take this like in a very humble way, because this thing has so much ego and pride that it feeds off of that, even if it's just like self-confidence. I
Mhm.
know that sounds weird, but cloaked in illusions, I got that. That's when I got my stabbing pension pain. um let's see, and that's when I saw the cracks in her body, as well. And then I'm getting a lot of elemental references too. Like there's some elemental energy which can back up the reason you're seeing like a pentagram, because
Mhm.
magic, elemental,
Yeah.
there's some elemental form coming into this. It wears different masks and it plays a part to get what it wants.
Mhm.
I saw a male earthbound spirit too that's coming in. And I heard the word trapped. By the way, there's multiple. I got the number 4 for beings that are not like parasitic type things, because the grids are broken down in this house. It's like a whole new world. Like Emily says, like the
Yeah.
grids are broken
I
down.
saw it in her picture. I saw the grids behind her. Did you see it in her picture?
No, no.
Okay.
Because even when I look at pictures, I don't know it. I'll know it before I see it. Does that make sense? Sometimes
Mhm.
I'll see it in pictures, but it's rare. I'll see it in my head before I see it on the video. Excuse me, the video. But I never zoomed completely in. I saw it from like this big, I guess you could say. But no, there's like an environment in the house where the energy is so thick and it needs to be clear. And that's what's helping making this thing thrive 100%. It's thriving off the energy of the people in this house, and it's affecting more than, one person. Even if mom says that she doesn't think they really mess with her, but she can see them or hear them, it's doing more than you think. And I think that's where you were talking about how you're getting all these pains and uterus and all that. I think there's illness within the family that is potentially being caused by this energy. I'm not going to say entity. I'm going to say energy that the entity puts off. And could it be being caused by that? Yes, but there's just so much psychic energy and like a melting pot stirred around. Spirit's telling me now too, there's a very likely possible, or very much a likelihood of them possibly having ancestors that did practice witchcraft. I'm not going to say it was good or bad witchcraft. We're not saying that, but they come from a line of witches. So Spirit just confirmed that for me. Let's see. It started bragging. So when I saw this male earthbound spirit trapped, I got the 1920s Bonnie and Clyde, and then I heard harvested souls in the physical and murdered. This thing has been around for a while, and it's been influencing people throughout generations.
Want to hear something
So,
funny? Not funny,
what's
but ironic. So this week, one of the songs that came up when I was scrolling was Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Was that the dog? That sounded like a knock.
No, it sounded like I think he dropped his phone
Okay. We'll have to confirm
upstairs in
that
the
with your
bathroom.
hubby later. Because
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
pretty
like,
sure.
but what's
Yeah, it sounded
interesting
like he.
though,
Yeah,
fumbled his phone on Super Bowl weekend. I guess, or is it this weekend or next weekend? Doesn't
I
matter.
don't fucking know.
Either way, I'll go ahead and say that intermission, I'm calling for the Chiefs, and I don't even watch football, but Spirit said the Chiefs. So don't bet your house on me, but
Okay, but there's a thing going on, like it's scripted and that the Chiefs are gonna win,
oh
and
yeah,
then
it's always scripted.
when they win, what's his name's gonna get down on one knee and propose to Taylor Swift.
Oh, probably so. And I forgot about the whole Taylor Swift thing, but yeah, I see the Chiefs winning. Honestly, that's what Spirit told me.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go betting, you guys. All right, let's get back to business. But the knocking kind of sound, we kind
Yeah.
of had that too earlier in the house, and I think we debunked it with the dog. But it's not that we've been scared or anything. Oh, and I don't have but a little bit left, but I will say this. When I was talking to Emily about the dream astral experience, why I think it was while we were chatting back and forth, when he was talking to me, he gave me that image of the death, the destruction, the bombing, and all that kind of stuff of the town. And it was like coming our way. So wherever me and Emily were, I felt like it was coming for us too. But he gave me that image, and I wasn't having it, because when I already heard Master of Illusion, well, I literally took that image he gave me and in spirit wrapped it up in a ball, and it went to my white room, which I've talked about before, like a holding room, which is like purifying. I don't know why, but that's what Spirit has set up for me for clearings. I can kind of like send things to this white liminal space. And that's what I did. I wrapped it up in a ball and dissipated it out in the white room. So this thing's very powerful for somebody, and that's where I'm going to get into. And I'm not trying to get too many conclusions yet, because we're still working this case. Again, this is recorded prior to talking to the client about any of this. And me and Emily are talking about, more the physicalities and, some of the things going on with her, and then the entity. There's still a lot more to do, but I will say that this thing has her, like, her mind. It has her wrapped up in a little, almost like a ball. And, this is part of the battle for the folks that are watching, is like, we are given power over these things for a reason. And my goal, Emily's goal, we want to empower this family to be able to start to manage and handle this, because Emily can tell you guys, I have people I've worked with that I've cleared for, and stuff still comes back because they're intuitive and they bring it in with their stuff, and it becomes kind of a part of life, but it's manageable. It doesn't always have to be crazy. But fear really builds on that, and she's put into a state of fear. The energy targets the house is what I wrote, and I wrote change perception, lighten the load, and create barriers. 4 total beings and entities, followed by a shit ton of like other energetic just imprints, basically. And when she was talking about the feeling of being injected, I've had that before when I lived in Walnut Cove. That whole story I told, I actually had that feeling one time. It was kind of like a sleep paralysis thing. That was the closest I think I've ever had to it, and it literally felt like needles had went in my arm, and like I was being injected with something. So I find that very weird. And yeah, I've never had any type of substance issues like that, and never done anything like that. So, but it does make me wonder if there's something involved with that from the past, or, any type of mental health issues. And that's where I wrote down aliens. Like, I think there's a belief that it's aliens, so it creates an alien.
I was just
Because
gonna say that.
Andrea, you're probably watching this, and you will be watching. You are very powerful. Spirit's telling me that now too. You also have a loved one coming in. There is like a grandmother or a maternal figure that was close to your mother. I don't know if it's your grandmother or your great grandmother, but she was strong in life, and she's supporting you in strength. And Spirit's also telling me, I'm wondering, I could be off, but I wonder if that fence and that, because I just got a mental image of a fence near the woods in a field, and like a little house. So I'm wondering if that possibly was one of the locations of either where they lived, or grandma just showed me something like that. So again, it could be grandma, could be great grandma. And I don't know if you have a upstairs. Sometimes when there's an attic, even if it's not finished, I'll pick up as it's like 2 spaces or 2 stories. It's either a 2-story house or a 1-story house with an attic. There is a portal near the stairs. I don't know if that's basement stairs. I feel like it's a 2-story thing. So like a 2-story house. Sometimes I get that wrong with my perception, but I saw a man walk out of this like portal, and this thing laughs like, I don't know, like the effing Green Goblin. It's like,
Yes. Oh my God,
yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
yeah. It's like death and destruction.
Yeah.
And I mean, I take this very seriously. I want to be very clear. Take this very seriously, and but this thing is kind of amusing with the amount. And I'm not saying it's not weak. It's not weak by any means, because it's been able to manipulate. It is a Class A manipulator, which is all types of entities. And again, I'm not going to make any conclusions because I have more channeling that I want to do. I want to get more into the origin, and I personally plan on channeling what happened that week. But when I did start thinking about that week, she went missing. And we'll probably get more into that when we talk to her. That's when I got that deserty isolation feeling. So there's some type of link to her going missing, desert and isolation. Whether I don't know if she went missing in the desert or if it was like an isolation feeling that way. But I also feel it has a tie to the entity as well. So that's pretty much the information that I got that I would like to share for the first half of this video. Emily,
I got
what else
something
do you
right.
have?
Meow. I heard disassociation. So she
Mm-hmm.
is going back into her brain and her mind.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's where the desert is coming in.
True. That could be it too.
Something happened that's a stressor, and it makes her retreat into her mind and then she puts her, well, I wouldn't necessarily say she's doing it, but the entity or energy, whatever you want to call it, is picking the place and where she retreats to. And then it's kind of like sleepwalking while you're disassociating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it has the power to do.
Yep.
But basically, yeah, I mean, uh, this is a pretty serious case, you know, and I know for people that may not watch this type of content or have never seen us before, this might sound all crazy, but you know, for new viewers, me and Emily have been doing this for years now, so um, we kind of can talk about these entities in a way it's kind of comes off as nonchalant or insensitive, but it's not that at all. I
We're
want to make that very
desensitized.
we are a little desensitized in the right places, but
Yeah.
I am very much empathic in all the right places as
Yeah.
well with the people that we help. And I do want to make that statement,
I
you
just mean
know.
in terms of fear of the entities themselves. Yeah, we are desensitized in that fear aspect.
Yes, and you kind of come to a point where you have to be to do
Yeah.
this type of work,
Yeah.
because fear does not help, especially when you know how strong you are.
Yeah.
Humans have yet to understand. I say humans like I'm not one. Humans have yet to understand how powerful their mind is.
Plus, they feed off
Once,
that shit, and I don't want to feed it. I
yeah,
want that bitch to starve.
yeah, exactly. So pretty much, we're going to stop there for now. The next clip should be the interview. So
Yeah.
guys, just kind of hang around, and we will see y'all on the flip.
Okay. You want to go ahead and go with your part and then I'll do mine. It shouldn't take very long, honestly. And this is just to kind of get a feel and an idea to see if we're kind of on brand with the energy, making sure we're connecting properly with your energy, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of the stuff that I picked up was a lot of like spasm pains, burning pains, like arms, legs, back. Does that
Yeah.
sound okay?
Yeah, the arms. Like I'm burning all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that. I started feeling hot like on my arms, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Also, does an elephant head mean anything to you? Just like the top portion of an elephant, because I saw an elephant head and I don't know what that is in reference to.
I don't know. There's like, no, not really. There's a head involved for sure, but it doesn't look like an elephant.
Well, it's not the entity part. This is just like what do you want to call it? Like images that spirit was showing me. So this could have to do with like your past. I don't know. For example, let's say you liked stuffed elephants, as in toys, not like
Yeah.
taxidermy. And you like had a fascination with that, or like anything like that.
No, nothing that's coming to my mind.
So it's probably a meaning of
It's a
some.
symbolism, I
Yeah.
think, for the actual situation going on based on what we've talked about prior, Emily,
Yeah, that's what
which we'll get to.
which
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards too. I also so the thing that I saw shapeshifts into different monsters with large mouths and sharp teeth, and the creatures sometimes looks like a cartoon alien or monster. Does that sound like anything?
I guess, yeah, kind of. The way that it, like the stuff that happens to me. The only thing I find paranormal are like electronics and stuff. But the things that are like, because they're on me, they're like, because I don't know if my mom told you, but I think she failed to tell you that one day when I got stuck on the side of the road, I was stuck here for hours and something was injected in the back of my neck. And I told my mom, I said, now my story has never wavered. It's always been the same. even though it sounds freaking crazy, that's what happened. And I said, so I don't know if this is something that has to be like it just wears off, or what this is. And everybody tried to tell me that that wasn't true. It was just all in your head. And I'm like, it was not in my head. I know I could
No.
feel it going in
Yeah.
my neck. And it was like thick plasma, kind of like. And I said, but nobody believes me. So I don't know. So like when you're referring to these things, it's hard for me to decipher because they're on me. They're like coming out of like there's something attached to my mouth, and my head's hurting all the time. And it's bad. It's really bad.
So commonly that feeling, so it's very common to have energetic attachments. We're going to leave the word entity out of it currently and just explain it from an energetic standpoint. It's common to have energetic attachments in the back of your neck or on your shoulders or on your back. So that feeling that you're getting is definitely an energetic attack from a source. So that's what you're feeling.
There's been times I just had to roll off. Like, I hate my bed. I hate it. I can't tell you. I've sleep in my son sometimes, and I just can't stand it. And it moves around. I mean, I feel like there's just so much that has happened to me that I don't even know where to begin with it. And I felt like it started when I was younger, because for some reason, I sit there and try to think about how this all began. I feel like it's something that I experienced when I was younger, and I always was thinking, well, how did I get rid of it then? And then, but I was young. I was too young to even know. But I remember it. I feel like it's coming back from when I was younger, and then me and my son saw something when we lived in Florida that it wasn't like an alien like you would see, like big and tall, one of those that you see that gets portrayed on TV. But I walked out into the living room, and there was some kind of extraterrestrial life form that was there by the couch. And I just looked at it, and I turned around and went back to bed. But my son started acting a little bit weird. And then that was that. And I just kind of I don't know why I didn't really think much of it, but I don't know if that has something to do with it too. I've seen too much, pardon my language, I've seen too much shit that I don't even know. Like, I don't even know.
I understand. And I actually picked up on that you think it's an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the first part of the video. Because me and Emily shared this particular part together, and we've recorded it prior talking to you. So you'll be able to see that and see all the information we're going over right now. You'll see that in the beginning of the video if you watch it. So yeah, but we'll get more into that. But I wanted to validate for you that yes, I picked up that you're thinking that it is extraterrestrial, alien, UFO type stuff.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay. So, like we were saying in the recording yesterday, that it has to do with like disassociating, like the eyes burning, and then feeling like you're breathing in dust, and then Chasity saw the desert. And we kind of figured it to be something to do with like disassociating, and like when you have immense stressors that you kind of like retract. And I don't know the best way to describe it. Chas, I need your assistance.
So basically, kind of what I was brought back to the desert today because it's interesting, because Emily's made a statement because she did hers first. She made a statement that she had like sand in her mouth, and she felt like her eyes were very dry. She felt that because she's very clairsentient. Clairsentient means clear feeling in the body. So she's going to pick up the feelings a lot more. For me, I visually saw a desert, and I think it's like a place, honestly, that is a liminal spiritual space. And I believe that one of the entities involved in this that's kind of where it's comfortable. And we were going to ask you that if you've had any like visuals or experiences of being in a desert or being brought to like a deserty realm, maybe in your dreams, or like when you're having some of these experiences. If that doesn't resonate, that's okay, because we're picking up on that in a spiritual sense. And what I just went through like an hour and a half ago with this thing that I saw, that's where he feels the most comfortable. Yeah,
Um,
and it's interesting. She's a water sign, and it's in the desert, and it could be symbolic of, and it's symbolic to what it said to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be why.
well, I definitely feel like there is stuff. There's like particles that get thrown at me. Like they're like it's an so when I'm trying to talk to myself, like, I've done some stupid shit just trying to get rid of it. I mean, really stupid stuff. But they have manipulated my body so much. So, and then when I close my eyes, I can't remember the last time I've heard silence for one, and I can't remember the last time I closed my eyes and I just saw darkness. It's like I'm watching a movie, like like there's a movie and I'm just constantly watching it, but it's never good. Or
Yeah,
it's like what's to come. It's almost like they have something like they have something on my back, and then it's hanging over and it's just dangling right above my head, and they're messing. I don't know how. I don't know,
we
but
know. I understand exactly what you're saying. That's the energy attachment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
yeah,
you're feeling is the energy attachment. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and say this too. We don't think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, things you're saying make sense to us because we've dealt with things like this for a long time. So, don't feel, don't feel unusual because it's not for sure. Okay. I just want you to know that.
yeah. Thank you, but it's a little hard though sometimes.
I know. I understand completely. It's hard to wrap your mind around what's actually going on because it just does, it's not part of our reality. It's not part of our 3D world. I mean, let's
Right.
go ahead and flat out say this. You're intuitive. You've been intuitive your whole life. You're not much different than me and Emily. Honestly, is you have intuitive gifts. This is why you're a target. This is why they're targeting you, is because you are open to the spiritual realms. So, would you think that so your mom said that you went missing for a week and you can't remember what happened. During that time, do you think anything like that potentially could have happened to you? Is that accurate
I
to
was
what your mother was saying?
No, I wasn't missing for a week. This is why I didn't want her in the same room, because she kind of over exaggerates a little bit. No, I
Okay.
was missing for that. It wasn't missing for, I was just wasn't capable of getting there because I was stuck on the side of the road. And my
Okay.
car, it was the night that happened to me in the back of my neck. And my mom was like waiting on me, and I told my mom, and she had my son, and I said, well, I'm on my way, but I never made it. And I, for some reason, I couldn't, even though the car wasn't locked, it was nothing. I just could not get out of that car. And then ever since then, like I can see, well, the moment that I got injected with that stuff in the back of my neck, I could start seeing angles and measurements, and how I could tell, like how, like, I have a reaction. Like if I were to put a cup down, I can feel like a wave, and then it's like I have like depth, perception. Like it sucks. It really is horrible. I hate it. Trying to get an
Yeah.
equal balance of your body is not an easy thing, and it's horrible. The only way I was able to even get out of that car is that, I guess, the guy who I'd gotten this car from, he went up and down the interstate, I guess, until he saw me, and then he pulled over and kind of like jarred me, snapping back to, all I had to do was open the fucking door, and get out of the car, but I just couldn't, I mean,
Right.
it was, and I knew I was way above the ground. I knew I was, because I could hear, you could tell, like the sounds. I felt like the roof of my car was cut off.
Right.
Could Now it could be, once again, it could be that thing, that just made me believe that, but
It
all the
is,
other
honey.
later.
All this stuff is rooting from this one thing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yes, there's multiple things going on, but what you're experiencing is being caused by this one thing. Because when I saw this thing, I told Emily in the voice, I don't think I wrote this down, but when I saw this thing that turned into the snake, I was like, you're going to leave. And I started like trying to like separate this thing from you, and it sounded like a piano, like I was plucking chords of a piano string.
Right,
Like, I could hear that audibly, not like outside of my ears, but inside. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
So a lot of this is what you're experiencing is like psychic impressions, but the way that it is now, it's like, you know, I want you to understand for sure that this is not just, again, you being crazy. you have something attached to you. It is definitely darker. It literally referred to itself as a dark lord. Because if you're having energetic attachment by this once living person, because I feel like this was a once living person where you're so intuitive, they've came to you and they've attached themselves to you and they're trying to live again through you.
Yeah. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that actually
That
makes sense.
I can see that. Yeah.
I do want to
Mhm.
show the pictures that I drew for you, though. See if anything looks familiar.
Yeah. The girl upside down looks familiar. Uh, just, I don't, I mean, kind of. The girl upside, I mean, I see like, I
And
don't
then
know.
I also saw this too. Like, I don't know if this is pertinent to anything, like that location.
No.
The heck?
What reminds me of when you show me that picture, Emily, I picked up on a man from the 1920s.
Okay.
And I
Is
know we
he
talked
kind of
about that.
tall? Like, when you picture him, do you see him kind of tall and wearing like a top hat, kind of like one of those?
Oh,
Oh, shit.
look at the screen if you can see it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
He's long and lanky, and it's not quite like a top hat because it doesn't have a rim. He's the
Yeah.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
He's the problem. And once Emily's done, instead of sharing, I'm gonna share the origin stuff first that I channeled in today. And then since the stuff I channeled in to begin with is like kind of the end of it, I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
need to start with my channeling today and move back. But I'm gonna let Emily finish hers real fast.
Okay.
Yep. I also got picture of lungs. I don't know if you have any lung issues or anybody around you has lung issues. Because I was getting,
Other than I smoke, I've been
oh,
smoking a lot of cigarettes lately.
okay.
I smoke cigarettes like a freight train,
Yeah,
personally.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, that's the only thing I think of, unless I freaking have something going on that I'm not aware of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say be mindful of that. I think that's something, just kind of watch your health around your lungs, because Emily's a great, like, she can do medical stuff.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I also saw a man that kind of looked like a white version of Jesus. So I don't know if you've seen anything like that.
No,
So,
been look. If anything, I've been looking. Believe me, definitely looking, because I haven't. You get so jaded after a while. You're like, you just get so jaded, and you're like, you're looking
Yeah,
just for some good, and all of this negative stuff, and never happens. That you're just like, yeah, I don't know, just jaded.
I
I wish
understand.
so.
okay.
I
And
think
then
that might be one of her guides.
I was thinking that too, like along those lines, like some of the people I was seeing, I think some of them are guides, some of them are attachments.
Mm-hmm. And
Mm-hmm.
that's our job today, is differentiate the difference between your guides, the attachments, what type of attachments they are,
Mm-hmm.
what's their purpose, what's their reason, what's their origin. Because once we figure that out, that's when we can start to work on trying to move this out,
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
All
for
right.
sure.
I think I'm just gonna stop with my stuff then.
Okay. All right. So, um, I did a revisit today, and first and foremost, I had got a grandmother figure come in. I don't know if it's a grandmother or a great grandmother. She used to take care of you when you were a baby and in your early childhood, or she's somebody that you looked up to, could have been a babysitter, but I feel like she was related to you. And while your mother worked, does that resonate with you?
I mean, I have two grandmas. They both passed away, but one of them I did hang out with a lot when I was younger.
And
But I
she's
don't.
the one that's passed.
They both have passed, but
Okay.
as far as, I don't remember a whole lot when I was younger. But as far as when my mom worked and my grandmother watched me, I don't know.
Okay. Well, she stepped forward. I feel, and that was your mother's mother, correct? That watched
Yeah.
after, or okay, that you were closer to. So she
Yes.
stepped forward to help me get this information. Um, was your mom a single parent?
Yes.
So I put single parent home, felt like she was raised like she had no control or choices um, on how to live. And or live up to expectations. Are you feeling like you can't live up to everybody's expectations currently?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So maybe it's lack of control. Instead of over
Yeah.
controlling, it could be lack of control. Right now, this is me trying to tap into your energy and just see what I'm being given that can potentially be part of the root of the problem here. Like, because it's all wrapped around your emotions. Generally, when you have situations like this, it's all about our emotions and how we transmute that energy and how we radiate our energetic signature out to the world. This is what can attract things. And where you're intuitive and you've had these things going on, spirit, what they're doing at this point in my channeling was trying to give me things that could potentially be the root of some of your stressors in life, because it's going to play on that 100%. I don't know, this probably doesn't make any sense, but this is when I started going into my visioning, about when you went quote unquote missing. Like, I see you out on the street. Okay. You said this was in the car, but I almost feel like you were out on the streets. I guess you were just in the vehicle. But there was like, I'm get, I went into this vision where there was like an alleyway, and I don't think you experienced that. But what it did was like give me the rest of this information. It was almost like opening a door, like you felt like you were being watched. Like it was almost that you were
Always.
out on, yeah. So you went out on the streets and there was eyes at the back of the hall or the alleyway, and that's when it kind of zoomed in. That's when I started seeing energetic threads. And then it came in, must cut the energetic threads, can't allow this to control you anymore. You have to take your power back. That's coming in from the grandmother guide. I'm being taken to the desert and I see a man in, like, I refer to it as an Egyptian hat because it stands straight up and it's got a gold band. And he's staring at me. Oddly enough, he says he's the enchanter. He's the puppet master, because that's part of what me and Emily were talking about. He's creating these, like when he was like, I am the magician, basically, I am the enchanter, like I am the man. And he
Right.
takes this stance and he moves his arms. And when he moves his arms, this black mist comes out of his hands.
Yes. Because you know
Okay.
what? Funny, when I was younger, we lived in this house and I saw black mist coming from the corner of the room and it would go along the very top of the wall.
Okay.
And still it still does.
I got the house description for you. I'm hoping that it makes sense because I think I was sent back to your childhood room. I asked him, I'm almost there too. I asked him, why do you want her? I need her energy, her life force. I said, why? He said, to continue to do my work. He was a dark magician. And he said, he controls the other entities. So he's the one that kind of summoned in something that's a tidbit darker. Not, I would say it's from a darker realm than he is, because I believe this person lived a life at one point. The things that he's brought into your life, one of them specifically has never lived. It started in your childhood home. So that makes sense, because sometimes spirit can give us either direct visuals. Normally, I'm pretty accurate, but it's very interesting that I'm off. And you can ask Emily, because normally that don't happen. So what
Yeah.
that tells me
It's
is
weird that we're
that,
both off.
yeah, this thing's very misleading, honestly.
Mhm.
But have you ever lived in a house that looked like that? Because if not, we might be picking back up on one of these things that are talking to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never have.
Never lived in a white house with a front porch, four pillars.
No.
Okay. And that's when I said I'm being taken to the bedroom, last on the left. There's stars on the wall, white room. There's a well outside. I wonder if this has to do with your mother too. There's a
Oh,
potential
there's
your
a
mother.
well out.
Say it
Oh,
again.
I was gonna say, oh, there was a well outside. Now I stayed with my sister for a little bit, but I don't believe it was a white house with four pillars. But she had a well, and
Okay.
yeah, she did have a long hallway, but one long hallway, but it wasn't a girl's room either. So I don't think that is it.
My
That's
printer just went off by itself.
don't surprise me. I wouldn't look into too much of the description of the place as much
Mhm.
as the relevance of the
Right,
information,
right.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that
Mm.
sounds
So because
familiar.
this could have been, it could have been you, your mom, your sister at this point, or the entity. But then I see the man again.
Hey, Kathy, this is Chasity. I just wanted to describe the house to you really fast. I know she probably told you, but it was like a little white house with a front wooden porch that had 4 pillars. It was a covered porch. And then, like, somewhere in the house, you walk in and there was one hallway with all the bedrooms. And sometimes I get this flipped. So I feel like it was the back bedroom on the left that was like a little girl's room. One window on the back wall that would technically be the back of the house, is what it felt like, the back of the house. But it was like a little girl's bedroom that had little, like, glow in the dark stars. And then it had like one of those things that holds stuffed animals you hang up in the corner that's like a net. That's where I saw this dark thing. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because I went for the origin of where it came from. So thank you for that validation.
So I wanted to ask you if you know anything about this house. I asked Andrea about it, but she doesn't seem to know about it, and I felt like you did. So if you could validate that, or see if you could remember anything that looked like this, that'd be awesome. Thank you. One question I do have for you. Do you know anybody that looks like the Christianity version, like the white version of Jesus, that kind of looks like him with like longish hair? It's like not too dark, but it just looks like white Jesus.
He was in this room. The room has what did I write? Hold on, I can't even. I see a window up against the back wall. That's when he stepped out. This is when I specifically got blood ties or blood pack that kind of hold you to the entity. And the man turned into a snake at this point. Once I was able to track him back to what I thought was and what technically is, just not the way I saw it, your childhood room, that's when he turned into a snake. If you look, I'm not the best artist, but if you see if I can get it, if you kind of can see, he's got like really pronounced cheekbones. He's got slits in his eyes, and it kind of sticks out like a viper would. Okay. And that's when he went back to his little sandy retreat in his liminal space that he hides in. That's where he portals in and out from. That's where he's comfortable at. He is like, it's a snake entity. That was actually one of the things I wrote down. I said, feels like anybody that's done any witchcraft stuff, I felt like that's been done, made it worse. And it referred to itself as Dark Lord, Dark Witchcraft. And again, it was an enchanter itself. So I think the guy that with the top hat looking thing, I
Yeah.
think that could have potentially been a person that was into this type of stuff. And now that he's passed away, he did not cross over to the light. He did not do any of that. He stayed and completely descended, and he's working with demons. The
Mhm.
whole purpose of this is to try to take away your free will. And by driving you crazy, that's what they do. And I
Yeah.
mean, they seed themselves in energetically. They're like energetic seeds. I'm starting to get nauseous too. Do you feel
Yeah.
those feelings in the pit of your stomach
Yeah. I feel nauseous. Yeah. I
right
feel a lot
now?
like right now, my stomach's not okay, but my right side of my body is burning, and it's like there's like strings that come out, like go through my body.
Yes. Okay. So those are the threads and the cords that are growing from the seeds.
Um, I think too, a lot of the stuff we were like at least the stuff that I was picking up, I do agree some of it has to do with the earthbound spirits that are lingering around and talking to you. Like I was getting a lot of clairaudience stuff. It wasn't like the same stuff that Chas was getting. It was just bits and pieces of random phrases.
Yeah, that's how I hear them. I hear that too. Or they mess with my phone and they type it on the text messaging like they're talking to each other. Like I'm like, how are they? It's like they really. That's exactly how I feel like they are talking to each other, and one of them answers through the phone. Or I mean, it's just the crazy. It's the crazy thing. Um, but yeah, I those little phrases and stuff I can kind of relate to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You're picking up on the earthbound spirits that's in your house.
I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
You're picking up on the earthbound spirits, excuse me, that's in your house. You're that open. You're that susceptible to the what we would call like spiritual energy, paranormal energy. So you're getting it from all sides and you're hearing them. So that's clairaudience. You're seeing them. That's clairvoyancy. You're a water sign. I'm a moon cancer rising. So, excuse me, I get it from all directions too. I mean, technically everybody does, but when you have a lot of water, you get all of this from all kinds of directions.
And I want to say too, I feel like your mother, and she hasn't admitted this or anything. I just have this feeling like your mother went through something similar, but because she's like a different level of abilities, and she experiences her abilities in different ways, I feel like, she'll have her own way of experiencing some of this stuff, but I feel like she's had some of this stuff happen to her as well, but the way she experienced it was a bit different based on her intuitive abilities.
I did help with an exorcism back a while back, this guy, and he went into the psychosis part of it, but they were hearing snakes. She got him on video. They were seeing things. He was talking to something like you're talking about, and it took him like 3 weeks, but he finally kind of come back around and saw the way he was acting because the wife would record him. There was so much spiritual energy around that house. And he ended up going to the church, getting blessed, but it didn't stop. The only thing that once I found that out, I felt safe because this guy was off his rocker. He was 6'5", bodybuilder, and he had children and a wife there. And I did not want him to hurt
Oh,
somebody. You see what I'm saying? But as soon
yeah.
as he went to the church and got the blessing of his physical body in the 3D, and she got the tools to help clear the home and stuff, I literally stood up right out of my bed when she told me, and I started working on the energetic clearing of the house. I went in like 11 on Stranger Things and got everything going. And there was a snake curled up beside him on the bed because it was no longer wrapped around him or like inside of him. By the end of that, that snake was belly up. He was asleep. He woke up the next morning and he felt somewhat normal, and it progressively got better. That's one
Um,
story. I can't promise that's exactly the same thing that's going to happen because everybody's different. What I'm telling you that for is like there's some similarities in your story and that story, and they were dealing with a lot just like you, and that is to give you a perspective and some type of hope that this can be resolved, because right now spirit's telling me too, you're in the trenches. Like you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope I am wrong, but I feel energetically like you're saying, okay, I hope this helps, but I'm not positive that they can help me. Are you feeling that way?
that's I made it. Well, I'm just now. I just tell myself because I was thinking, "Oh, okay, well, that because I was thinking about all these things I wanted to say, and then I'm like, well, that will go away once I start thinking. I wrote it down, the love and the light and divine protection. I wrote it down when you said that. But once I start thinking in that manner, that I was like, all that crap will go away. I'm assuming all that crap will go away. So, but yeah, I was feeling like that at first. I mean, I came
Yeah.
into optimistic, but I was being also a realist because it's been going on for so long. Time
Yes.
is what the time is what has really got me, because I'm like, after so long, you're like, there's nothing that's going to be able to help me. But I want, and I believe that you guys are going to make a huge difference. I mean, just talking to you alone and having some of the shit validated makes me feel better. But
Yeah.
even if I say it, love and the light, like I feel like a little better. Like I don't know how to explain it, but my side doesn't hurt so much anymore.
Good. Well, would you be open to me and Emily like sending you some energy? Emily, would you be open to like projecting out some light? And I work, it's nice. I don't always, I mean, I pray and I talk to spirit all day, but one thing that me and Emily do is we transmit energy. We transmit energy and light. And the suckiest part about all this is like if me and Emily could get to you, we would, and it would make it even easier.
Yeah, I know
Um,
this alone is helpful. I do have a question. When your lights, when they get brighter, is that a bad thing? Like if you're in, like your lights, the light bulbs and you in your lamp, and then like when I'm in the bathroom, the sometimes the lights get brighter, And I'm like, and sometimes in the garage, because the garage really isn't a good place either. But in the garage, the lights will get a little brighter. I don't, and I know, I'm like, oh, well, that can't. See, that's where I'm like, oh, that can't be good. I'm like,
So the lights and stuff, no, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. You just have a lot of energy. Some of this is kinetic energy. Do things move around? Have you ever been around stuff that just starts moving around your
yeah,
house?
all the time.
It's you. It's
Oh
your
my
it's
God.
poltergeist energy. It's kind of poltergeisty. So a lot of this stuff is coming from your energy source, and that's why this thing attached to you. Because again, when I saw those cracks in your body, it was like so much light was protruding from them that it's like you just have so much you can do. Like, and Spirit's telling me right now that you deny yourself, how can I say this? You deny yourself on how much you actually can give. You have so much more power than you really understand. Like, you don't understand what you're capable of. And you come from a very long line of intuitives and powerful people in the spirit. And that's why we get attacked. Because look at what me and Emily do now. Why did we get attacked? Because we have the ability, me and her both have the ability to empower people. I mean, and
It
help
really is.
transmute.
When my
Yeah.
mom
And
told me that, she told me about you guys, and I was like, and then we didn't hear back from you for a while, and I was telling myself, I was thinking, well, maybe they don't want to do it, because I did write. No, this is kind of weird, but the girl that does the dead files, like in it, I wrote her one time, and I never even got a response. I mean, that's the only thing I ever really did to make an initiative to actually speak to somebody. But I did go get me and my son baptized, and
right.
that didn't seem to. Now I will say, when I went underneath the water, when I came, like, I felt like this spiral. When I came back up, there was a spiral that went above my head, and it was big, it was thick. But
that was your crown chakra being activated, because I did pull a card that talks about your crown
And I
chakra.
felt it on the top of my head.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So that's a positive thing. And again, it's like you learning the difference between positive energy and negative energy. And like, we can help you with that. We can talk to you about some of that.
So I'm closing my eyes because I keep getting these images of this house, and I'm just like, why am I seeing this house?
Well,
It's like,
what, the house that you guys described?
well, I'm seeing a different one. It's more like the drawing I did near the fence, but now it's like without the fence. But
Yeah,
it's
a major role. Like, you know what, there was a house that, because I was thinking about it as she was talking, that, and it may have had a swing on it, and it was in a cul-de-sac area. And I was outside one day, and I saw these, like, the Jiffy guy, the tire guy, that white guy. I saw like him. I saw something that looked just like him. They were huge up in the sky, and they were like, I don't know if they were chained up together. I don't know what they were, but then they come and land on a fence. It was the oddest thing. It was just the oddest thing. But I remember walking my son around the cul-de-sac, and I looked straight ahead, and I saw like this gorilla looking thing at the very end of the street. But I don't see very well. I'm blind as hell. But I don't so I just kind of like, I don't know why, for some reason, when I see this weird shit, why I don't act weird. I don't act all freaked out. Like, most people should be freaked out, and I'm not. Like when I saw that thing in the living room, I should have been freaked out, but instead I just turn around and go back to fucking bed. I mean, what I mean,
That's the desensitized. Me and Emily have the same thing, because we just experienced so much. We're desensitized. I apologize. That was my fiance. But yeah, that's why. I mean, Emily, you can vouch for that.
Chastity, what are those things the air elementals called? Are they called sylphs?
There's certain sprites, and there's a bunch of different types of air. You're talking about the ones that look like people.
Yeah.
Are you talking okay, I can't
oh my
remember.
God.
Sylphs or sylphs,
Yeah.
SHYPE or something like that, or L.
Yeah, it's in the ether
Oh my
creatures
God.
deck.
I've seen I've seen the guy. There are the guys like that. And then that's funny, because the guy is like that. I've never seen the girl like that, but the guy for sure. And like little elves, like little fairy elves, like they were small. And I'm like, God, what are they going through? Like some machine
Yes.
making that small?
You're so highly intuitive.
Yeah,
You're
she's seeing all the elementals. She's seeing the
yeah,
air elementals. She's she's seeing the earth. She's seeing all the elementals.
Oh my
yeah,
God. So there really are little people like that.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And see, this entity is like, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what happened. This is how powerful the entity is. And I say it with sarcasm, but I've also been told by spirit not to get too prideful with this because ego plays a big part in it. But when this entity was talking to me, he was like, I am death. I am darkness. I am,
Yeah.
illness and disease. And he was showing me that death and destruction in my dream. And I literally this is how powerful our minds are. This is how powerful our spiritual beings are. I literally took that image with my spiritual body he was showing me as he's like, I'm death and I'm darkness. And I took my hands and I wrapped it up into a little ball in my, what I call my room of light, where some entities, where I transmit energy on another realm that spirit has gave to me. And I made it in a little ball and I made it dissipate within my hands. And now
Well, that's crazy.
you will
Because
be able to do this kind of stuff too if you wanted to. That's how it's not going to be an easy road for you to get rid of this. But the reason I'm saying that is not to be like the badass bitch. Like Amy Allen is great, but that's kind of what we do. And Amy Allen, she had to have like a team of people come in and clear the space. So I mean, there was different people she worked with. So I mean,
right. Well, I
we're the
was
next best thing, I guess.
that's funny because you say that because when I'm out and I'm messing in the yard and it's dark outside and I'm messing with the solar panels, for the little sidewalk lights or whatever, they'll light up if I put my hand over it. They'll
Oh
be
yeah.
completely they'll be completely dark, but if I put my hand over it, they light up. Now I don't know if that's normal. It could be, I
Yeah.
guess. But
It's not normal, but it's part of your kinetic energy. Would you agree, Emily?
Well, if it's solar and you put your hand over it, yeah, because you're taking the light away and it triggers
but
the
it lights
light.
up and it lights up.
Yeah, that's how they work.
Not at night. Are you talking about at
None of
night?
Wait, are you talking about it when you're at nighttime or?
Yeah, time.
Yeah,
Oh,
nighttime. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
okay.
They get
I got you.
brighter. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they'll turn on if I put my hand above the
Okay, yeah, that's your energy.
Yeah. And that's why when she walks in the rooms, the light bulbs and stuff, she has a lot of kinetic energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's telekinetic or whatever you call it. It's a psychic ability. So
Psychokinetic energy.
yes, and in our podcast, we talk about all the different types of energy, like all the stuff you're talking about that you think's weird, and if you start out, like, again, I would recommend starting from episode 1 so you can hear like the darker stuff. As you
Okay.
move towards the end of the episodes, you'll hear the lighter stuff. Again, you're getting some of this stuff directly from us, but there's just so much in there that you're going to be able to relate to and validate. It's going to be validation. And one of the biggest things for me and Emily and anybody else at all, validation means so much because it makes you realize that you're not crazy.
Yes, and that's what and like I made the statement to my mom, and like you were talking about that guy that with the snake and whatever, and like he was doing some weird shit around the house, and I so can relate to that because in your head you don't feel right, like you know that what you're doing is not. I've done some crazy shit too, believe me, some crazy shit to the point where it's gotten better as times have gone by, but I know exactly what that guy was going through, and how you were like, we got to help right away. But like I told my mother not too long ago, I said, any of my self pride that I have, I'm never going to be able to get back what it has taken from me, from like how people view me now, and because of this, like I'll never be able to get that back because some people's impressions are going to be there forever, and I can't,
Right.
so like just being validated helps immensely because everyone thinks you're crazy. I've gotten in fights with my sister over it, like just crazy. It's just craziness. So it'll
Right.
be nice to know that I'm not so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mean, no, you're not crazy at all. And what you're referring to, I think you have just so much psychic energy that it's just feeding, it's literally feeding off your life force. And that's its purpose. That's what it does to people like us. And we're more of a target because you have the ability to help rid this yourself. I mean, I have a list of things that I would recommend that's going to I mean, that need and that technically have to be done. But building your confidence and giving you that validation is going to
Yeah.
be more rewarding than anything for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something you have to go through, and it has got you to the point now though where like everything could be messed up, everything's bad, everything's all fucky,
Yeah. It
So
really
that's
truly is. Yeah.
yeah, and that's and some things that are going to happen um are it's an illusionist. So it's putting illusions in your mind to manipulate you to get a better meal basically because they feed off of it. And this thing in the top hat is the one of the biggest problems, and then the next thing is the one that's like I'm death, I'm destruction.
Yeah.
I feel like they're separate. Emily, do you feel like it's the same thing or if it's separate? What do you feel?
Well, first I wanted to point out that the reason why it's like, first off, it's trying to isolate you to make you feel alone so it can feed off of you more. But
Yeah, definitely. Because all I want
as
to do is lay down. All I want to do is lay down in my bed. But my there's things in my bed. Like I don't ever sleep well at all. I mean, hardly ever because
it's
there's
it's trying to
things in
wear
my
you
bed.
down. It's just trying to wear
Oh
you
yeah.
down until you give up and be like, fine, fuck it. And then that's when the possession would come in if you ever did that, which you're not going to because we're
No,
gonna,
I'm not going to.
yeah. But as far as the entities, it being different things, I feel like it's hard because it's such an illusionist that it's hard to figure out what's what. And because there's so many things going on, um, I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of earthies there, but the snake guy and the guy's like, and the one that's like, I'm death, I'm whatever. I kind of felt like they were the same or of the same nature.
Yeah. I see this girl like the girl that I'm not real fond of because she's not nice all the time. Sometimes she's nice and sometimes she's not. I mean,
Yeah.
but I don't really like her for the most part. But she's attached, like she hangs on to somebody's back, some guy's back. Like she's right below him, but she's like if someone were to look over his shoulder, that's where she's at, like hanging on to his left side of his shoulder. Just I don't know why she's always like that, but and I want to say that she's kind of I for some reason I want to say she's a little elf too, but I know for sure that I have seen the man and a little small elf looking little guy. I mean, it was crazy. And he had a big, but he had like a hat on that was God, he might have been the little Joker guy. Because I've seen him because now I'm thinking about his gear. He's a little jester guy. His hat was a little weird. It wasn't a top hat, not that I'm aware of,
Yeah, it's
but I
like for
know, but I
me,
know what you're talking about.
it's just like a straight up and down hat. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
weird for me too because I mean, I've seen hats like this, but it's literally for me just straight up and down.
Wait,
yeah,
I think, okay. In Chinese and like Asian cultures, I've seen that hat before, and it's
Mhm.
always in reference to like demonic things. I'm gonna,
Really? I
I'm
did
a,
not know that.
I'm gonna Google it really quick.
I also thought about it being, I did think about it being like Asian, right? But and then he's coming in the form
yeah.
of sand. And that's what made me think of like Egyptian because of the Egyptian stuff, too, and the gold. And it's like literally it's like a sand snake, a pit. I heard a pit viper or
Right.
the viper pit.
I've seen
Because
the Egyptian thing. The girl was like, yeah, at one point somewhere down this crazy ass road, they were like, she was I'm an Egyptian god, and they showed her, like, yeah, and then they showed her like in a tomb, and there people were carrying that tomb, and there was like a big
okay,
pyramid on top. Yeah, for some reason, triangles are making me feel like triangles are like a huge thing, but
they are spiritually, they have a big spiritual significance. Sacred geometry in general I mean, and they used a lot of that in Egypt and stuff just in their own way. Um, the big part is going to be definitely educating yourself and just again the validation and all these things you're telling us. The more you tell us, the more it really does make sense. And I'm seeing the bigger picture. I feel like Emily, like the top or not top hat, but this weird hat guy, and then
Yeah.
the I'm darkness or the low level demon. I think the top hat guy and that lower level thing are similar energy because they work together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here's
Yeah, they're working together. So
you
it's like
see the
a tag
picture?
team.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
That's like their hats.
that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I did think about that too, Emily. That's very interesting. There's something going on, and I'm gonna say I picked up. I don't do past life stuff. Emily does that, but I do
Mm-hmm.
not. But I did pick up that this has something to do with your past life as well. Can't remember what I wrote. I think I read it already, but oh yeah, blood ties, meaning like bloodline or blood pact, like you made a blood pact, or maybe even a coven in a past life.
Here's another
Something to
one.
do with that. Hold it down a little. Oh, I see it now. Never mind. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. And that's kind of what it was wearing with the gold too.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because my dreams are manipulated every single night. Like I haven't had. Well, I haven't had any regular. I haven't had one normal night of sleeping, unless it's probably induced myself, in a very long time. But it's funny because I remember, like when Hitler was around and sees how they all walked in the same pace at I remember seeing that in my head. They were all walking. So it's interesting you say that war and all that crap because that's how it was when he was showing or when it was showing me whatever. I really don't want to put a name to it.
Yes, and the big thing is not owning it, like, and making sure that you're not accepting the fact that this can feed off of your energy anymore, and you have to step up and be like, you can't be here anymore. Like, you're gonna have to take a stand on this,
Yeah.
and that's part of all this is like, starting to work on detaching this. So, do you have anything else you want to add?
And me myself, no. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
You're
Really, I
very
mean,
welcome.
I'm very, very thankful for it. Thank you so
Well,
much.
Yeah, and thank you for letting us, talk to you and record. And I know it's not easy to share some of this stuff.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes the interview with Andrea. I know we talked a lot and covered a lot, but everything that was said needed to be said. And yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of the video we did cut out for personal reasons and things. We just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of what she's going through and some of the suggestions we're giving to her to help her with her situation. Again, everybody's situation is different. We all, people that experience this thing, there's always similarities, but there's always differences. We're going to continue to work with Andrea, and I feel very positive about her situation. And I feel like the more that she understands what's happening to her, the more power she has. She's extremely intuitive. She's extremely psychic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and basically her tone and everything shifted by the end of the interview. She became more comfortable. She could actually get her words out properly, and to me, I think she was grounded, and that's one thing we didn't speak with her about that we're going to have to. But with that being said, Emily and I are going to continue to work with her. This case is definitely not over with. This is something that's going to take time and effort on both people, and especially for Andrea and her mom and her son and everybody in the house. Guys, we really wish we could go out there and help her with this in person too, because if me and Emily could get to Texas, we absolutely would.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, and hopefully one day, those dreams can come true with our content. Like, we don't want to just go to haunted places. We want to go to people's houses and help them. And right now we only have the ability to do that within the area that we live. But maybe one day, guys, if you can help us make that dream come true, please hit the like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube.
For sure, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But Emily, you have anything else you want to add before we close out this video?
think so. Oh, the tree I was seeing. Okay. Okay, a lot of times spirit will show me a tree when I need to ground myself.
Right. Well, that makes sense because she
Yeah.
definitely, I noticed the grounding in her voice and everything, and even her
Yeah.
energy. So that makes sense. It's time to ground. And that's one thing I guess we need to talk to her about too. So, yeah, we're going to stay in contact with her, and we exchanged information. And yeah, guys, please send her a lot of love and light. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to send Andrea some positive thoughts and prayers in the comments, you can do that on YouTube, and she can visually see them as well.
Yipper doodles.
Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and conclude this episode because it's already probably so long. We're still in the process of editing it. It comes out tomorrow. So let's just look there. This is past us. So present us, yeah, we're going to get it done. Or future us will have it done. Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time. Are you going to say peace out or not? Fine. Peace out.
Well, you always cut me off.
I did not. I was paused and everything. It was fucking perfect.
Well, I know, but every time I try to say something, you cut me off.
Oh, whatever. It's the delay.
Lies.
Peace out.
Girl Scout.